Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar. I'm Dave Zwicker. I'm the CMO for NIRBY, and I'd like to introduce you to a webinar series that we're kicking off. It's called Peer Power at Work, and the first installment of our webinar series is how mobile collaboration can maximize employee safety. During this webinar, we'd be glad to take your questions, so feel free to put them in the question box. You'll see that in the control panel. And I'll gather those up and collect them and address those questions at the end of the broadcast. So let's jump in. The first question I want to answer is, why did we pick employee safety as a topic for a webinar series? And we're going to discuss with you a methodology for mobile collaboration and some technology that's been created by NIRBY to address this issue. The reason is that on an average business day, as many as 10,000 workers can be injured or become ill because of workplace hazards. Even more alarming is as many as 13 workers can actually lose their lives as a result of workplace injuries. So it's a pretty prevalent threat for businesses of all kinds, of organizations of all kinds, and threats can come in the form of industrial hazards, extreme weather, workplace violence, and so forth. And the cost to human beings is obviously significant. The cost to businesses in terms of impact on productivity and cost and goodwill is also significant. And depending on your industry, there could be safety regulations and standards to be compliant with. So what we want to do is talk about ways that we want to improve the whole notion of employee safety within any kind of organization. And to do that, we started by looking at the way communications occurs when a threat, when a hazard, when an emergency, first emerges. What does communications look like? It typically takes the form of a single, static, one-time broadcast that comes from one central authority. It might be an email, it might be a text message, it might be a phone call, and email can get lost in the clutter, and text messages and phone calls are kind of hit or miss. And there's really no way for the people who might be exposed to that threat to continuously get updated on, is it getting better? Is it getting worse? Has it been resolved? And they certainly can help to correct the situation. So NIRBY looked at this and decided that a different kind of model for communications during a hazardous situation or an emergency event could really radically change that dynamic. It's something we call mobile collaboration. And in this illustration, what you see is workers who are using their smartphones. Everyone has a smartphone. That smartphone can be enabled with a mobile app. And now, if they're on the ground, on location, in proximity, and they notice a threat or a hazard, they can be the source to rapidly report that hazard or threat, warn people who are in close proximity, their workers, their peers, and also coordinate what they've discovered with a central response team who might be in an operations center or maybe in multiple response centers. And so the model that I'm going to take you through today is how we're going to enable this kind of crowdsourced communications with something we call mobile collaboration. And really what mobile collaboration is all about is leveraging the power of peers to enhance safety for all employees. It has two components to it. One is a process that we've developed, a very simple, intuitive, three-part process where mobile workers can discover a threat or a hazard and share information about it, and then act or assist in the action that's being taken to remove that threat. So I'm going to take you through a very simple 3-slide sequence to explain discover, share, and act. And then what you also see on this slide is an illustration of the technology that we've put in place that enables all this. And it has multiple components, and I'm going to walk you through those as well. The components of this environment for mobile collaboration are a very intuitive mobile app for workers. And that mobile app uses an innovative concept we call a smart pin that provides location-based information. That information that's shared through a smart pin is exchanged through the cloud in a highly secure encrypted transport. That information can then be synchronized with an operational system through APIs. and everything can be monitored and managed in real time with a web-based dashboard. So let's take a closer look at this idea of discover, share, and act. What happens in the very first phase in discovery is a worker sees a threat, encounters something that they think is dangerous, and other workers, their peers, should know about. What they do is they go to a NERBI app. They provide a one-touch operation that allows them to drop a smart pin. And what the smart pin does is, on a map integrated into their phone, it marks the location and instantly creates something called a geofence around that location. And if you're not familiar with the concept of a geofence, it's simply using the GPS technology in the phone, and based on the location where that user is, when that pin is dropped, it creates a radius of 150 meters or more. It's definable. So a circular pattern around that smart pin that basically marks that as a danger zone, and the smart pin provides information about what the nature of that danger is within that zone. And then the smart pin can be used to convey information and reflect the status. So what we've done now is we've enabled this user, this mobile worker, this employee, to rapidly report an event or a situation. Now, the next thing that takes place in mobile collaboration is sharing that information with peers. This is part of peer empowerment. And so let's pretend another coworker enters that geofenced area that's been established. That person instantly gets an alert. So they're warned about the danger, and they also have instant access with one touch to information about that danger. They may have new information to add about that danger that's new since they entered that area, or they provide a different perspective or bring some knowledge to that situation. And so they can use that same smart pin to update the information, and that data is synchronized and it's also recorded. And by working together, we've actually initiated a resolution to this problem. It's underway. But it takes more than just some workers on the ground in the field working together, because at the same time the smart pin is created, a central dashboard has knowledge of this. The information has been synchronized with operational systems. Managers and supervisors can instantly monitor the events in real time, and now they can marshal the resources and come up with the actions needed to accelerate the results. So that's a simple explanation of discover, share, and act. And actually, it's a simple explanation because it's a simple process. So this whole idea of mobile collaboration requires some technology. And the technology is sophisticated so that the way the technology works can be made very simple and easy for the users. It all starts with a mobile app we call the NERBI app. And it's a simple, intuitive user experience that's modeled after the Waze application and adds to it the idea of a smart pin. I'm going to talk about a smart pin in the next slide. But through the smart pin, which, by the way, they are specific to the use case and can be made specific to the role of the user, that smart pin is a vehicle now for crowdsourced information to be gathered by anybody who's out there in proximity, with the location of that hazard or threat being identified by a geofence. Now all that information can be shared, or machine-generated content can be sent out in the form of messages, photos, videos, documents, hyperlinks, formatted data, and there's some more categories of information. They're all easy to access, easy to use, and the idea is make it easy for the user to use whatever medium they want to use to communicate anything they might want to share about the nature of the threat. All this information becomes categorized, location stamped, and synchronized with users and information systems. Each smart pin has its own set of rules that can be defined by the customer's authority in putting this application on the ground, working with NERBI to make it tailored for their needs. The size of the geofences, the nature of the alert, is it audible? Does it use vibration alarming? Is there a time to live timer associated with the smart pin? What event feeds should be associated with it? And a variety of other settings and attributes like icons changing color depending on the status of the event or to represent the severity of the threat. And because it uses GPS technology and it's location-based, it's critically important that this app be battery efficient. The Nerby app is extremely battery efficient, using as little as a quarter of a percent of utilization of that battery an hour. So with that Nerby app, the inside of that app is this vehicle that is an innovation by Nerby that's called a Smart Pin. And so here's a schematic of the power of the Smart Pin. It's one touch, and it's a framework for collaboration of any kind between peers to help them help each other stay safe, and to help them inform the central response team about the nature of the threat they've observed, and to receive information back from the central response team about what they should do in the case of any sort of an emergency or threat to their safety. So Smart Pins help them receive alerts, access information, share updates, and get notifications all in real time. And you can just use your imagination on the nature of the information that could be shared. So they snap a photo of a fire that has broken out in an area of a campus or a building. They are sending messages to coworkers explaining what they're seeing. Instead of typing a text, they might want to record an audio track or capture a video on their phone. They might be receiving alert messages or ongoing notifications about updates from the centralized response team. And on occasion, there might be an application for a mandatory data field to be filled out to give critical information back to the response team about how to respond to this threat. So that's a Smart Pin, highly intelligent, one-touch framework for collaboration. Smart Pins come in libraries, and they're all designed to reflect a variety of threats. If it's not in our library, it can be designed and added in conjunction with what our customer wants to see there. And then the libraries of Smart Pins are sorted by use cases. So we're talking today about a field safety use case. There's a variety of other use cases that have their own libraries of icons. They might represent different kinds of safety or emergency hazards, or they might represent business processes or operational kinds of use cases. It's really just a vehicle for mobile collaboration that's made simple and intuitive for the user, that's synchronized with a central set of systems and people to coordinate activities. And so all of this happens through the use of a service architecture that's very secure, end-to-end security, adaptable to the needs of the customer, and is enterprise class in terms of its scalability. So smartphone apps leverage the embedded mapping capabilities and GPS technologies and use them and leverage them with the idea of this Smart Pin to make the interaction with the app simple, one touch, and to make the power of what can be shared very rich and extensible. And so that information is shared via a cloud-based platform, synchronized via APIs with central operational systems, monitored in real time by a web-based dashboard. So let me give you an example. I've described the process of mobile collaboration, and I've described the enabling technology that Nerby has that allows this to happen in a secure and simple way and in a highly mobile way. A real life example is one of Nerby's customers that happens to be in the cable and telecommunications industry. And so we were asked to outfit their field service organization. These are technicians who work in the field, thousands of them. And these workers wanted a way to warn and inform their fellow workers about dangers because coworkers want to keep each other safe, and they want to be empowered to do that in a way where they can make a difference. And so what you see on the left is some photos of actual hazards or threats that they might encounter in the field. Some of these are simply, a hazard or a limitation like getting through a flooded roadway. Others can be literally life-threatening if there's a fire, a high voltage electrical condition where they have to do their work, or just some information that might represent a situation that should be addressed quickly. A telephone pole is broken. That should be reported and coordinated and addressed before it breaks and falls and causes further damage. So traditional methods for dealing with these things quickly and efficiently were found to be slow and cumbersome because email and text messages just are not good vehicles for real-time collaboration. And from a central point of view, record keeping was really difficult to track all these things. It wasn't coordinated. It was hard to keep the information accurate. So NERBY's mobile collaboration solution was implemented, and now it allows them to instantly map, classify, and alert the appropriate personnel. And workers can drop a predefined smart pin at a hazard location. Contextual information about the hazard is captured in the form of notes, images, video, audio, alerts, and so forth. A geofence is established to warn workers who are in close proximity, and the operations center is notified, and the response is coordinated in a very efficient manner. I want to show you a diagram of that information flow to kind of make the point even more clearly. So this little timeline is showing you the flow of information from when the NERBY app begins to collect information in orange, and how it might synchronize that information with central systems, back-end systems in red, and then loop back to coordinate and synchronize with the NERBY app so that users are properly notified and informed. So a user identifies the hazard, drops a smart pin at his current location. NERBY instantly creates a geofence around that area and provides notifications to nearby workers. NERBY updates an event feed to a ticketing system to create a trouble ticket so that there's an automated way for the central response team to know the nature of the response and how to respond to it. And so it's routed for the teams for validation. They work on the response all the way till the resolution is made. And now that trouble ticket can be closed. The NERBY app is updated, deletes the geofence, the smart pin representing that hazard is removed, and all of the information associated with this incident conveyed via smart pins and synchronized with these systems becomes archived. Very simple, smooth, streamlined, efficient model for identifying and resolving the situation. This is a representation of that discover, share, and act model that I was describing earlier. So the result is now the workers are able to stay safe and informed, and they feel very empowered. Culturally, that's been a very positive impact on the mobile workforce. Real-time information sharing is now there to warn everybody of potential threats. Incident responses and repairs are now far accelerated over what they used to be. Safety operations are much more formalized and automated, and the record keeping is enabled by this audit trail of the event and the response to the event. And here is a picture of what that real-time web-based dashboard looks like during that kind of a situation. So the diagram on the left is showing the user in the field with his mobile app dropping the smart pin. On the bottom of that illustration, on the left, you see the centralized real-time dashboard and the supervisors and managers monitoring that activity in real time. And on the right-hand side of the screen is an image of what they might see. So you can see the map. You can see the smart pin location on that map, its precise location. You can see the geofence surrounding it that marks the boundary where alerts will be given to other coworkers when they enter that zone. And an important point about those alerts is if you're not within that zone, you don't receive that alert. So this prevents what's sometimes called alert fatigue, where if there's a bunch of alerts that are not relevant to a worker who's way outside of a geo-fence location, they don't need to know about that. But the minute they cross that boundary, they get the alert, they have the information, they're warned and informed, and they know what to do. On this display, you see the photographic image that might have been snapped by the camera on the smartphone of the field tech. You see some detailed information underneath of that goes along with that submission of that media via the smartphone. Remember, the worker has just touched the smart pin, an additional tap to attach a picture. That information is instantly shared, and automatically it's time stamped, and its location captured. and any media that's additionally associated with that smart pin becomes part of the centralized record and available to everybody who has the phone who taps on that smart pin. Here's a second example. This one outside of the field service and field technician realm, and more in an everyday business and enterprise environment where business continuity is important, and we want to minimize the disruption and mitigate the threats of everyday hazards that can happen in the workplace, whether it's the growing phenomenon of workplace violence, whether it's the increasingly extreme weather conditions that we're all seeing, whether it's the potential for chemical and biological hazards that might be around us, especially in maybe an industrial setting or in a medical and healthcare setting. Any kind of mobile workforce can be put in harm's way, whether they're customer service providers, maybe they interact with the public, exchange money, and they're at risk, from some criminal act. Transportation, utilities, and telecommunications deal with outside conditions, extreme weather, high voltage situations, and so forth. Educational institutions like campuses, college environments could greatly benefit from this kind of a mobile collaboration system that would let students and faculty instantly inform and be informed about the nature of a threat or a hazard in real time. And healthcare and public safety workers can be assisted to provide protection to themselves and their coworkers as well. So NRBI's approach to collaborative communications brought to this enterprise environment works in the same way. It's the same discover, share, act model enabled by this technology. Smart pins identify threats, identify exact locations. Employees and safety personnel instantly are alerted by an audible tone and a vibration on their phone. The smart pin provides information about what's happening, where to go, and what to do, and instructions for evacuation, shelter in place, or some other preparations that have been predetermined by the organization can be instantly fed to those employees all at once and available with one touch on their smart pin. So this allows the centralized control with the real-time dashboard and the integration with systems. And it also, this closed loop process allows a complete check-in of personnel after the resolution of the problem so we can make sure everybody is safe. And here's another view of that centralized dashboard for this enterprise continuity environment. In this case, we wanted to show you, in addition to responding to an emergency situation or a hazard or a threat, it can also be used in creating advanced preparations for those conditions. So here we're showing you what might be seen during a fire drill. And the description can actually inform people, this is not a real emergency. Please evacuate the building. We're running a drill in case we have a fire in the building, and test how the system works and get everybody used to this process. So I want to give you something that kind of captures the spirit of how mobile workers, peer groups in the field are reacting to this kind of capability and this kind of technology that's put in their hands and is simple to use. This is the actual quote from a field service technician who simply says, even if your head's on a swivel 9 times out of 10 during the day, there's a background app that's going to keep you safe. It's easy to use, protecting you from legitimate hazards. You're not just protecting yourself, you're protecting your fellow techs. It's really a good app. I'm really excited about using it. There was another quote that came from management that was equally interesting. They said, this is the first app that lets field workers help each other stay safe. And really, that is the goal of what we've been trying to achieve with the NRBI platform, is a very simple model for field-based collaborative communications that allow users to keep each other safe. In addition to field safety, there's a myriad of collaborative workforce solutions that can be performed by NRBI. In this installment, we've only focused on employee safety and how mobile collaborations can help employees stay safe. And we talked about that in the context of a field service organization warning other coworkers about threats and hazards in the field. But NRBI can also be used to make field service operations run in a very streamlined, efficient manner by allowing them to respond to more customer service requests, get jobs done faster, keep track of unfinished repair work in the field, and provide information instantly to workers to help them with the information they need to make the repair. It might be specs, it might be the location of spare parts, the location of necessary test equipment, sharing notes with an experienced tech who has performed that particular kind of job. All of these applications to make field service operations run more smoothly are all done with NRBI with smart pins, use case applications, and integrations to operational systems on the back end that provide this connection, the connection of peers to each other and of peer groups to central resources. Other examples that we'll be getting into over time in our webinar series include asset management, ways that NRBI can help sales and marketing operations, and customer service functions. So that is a very quick overview of how the NRBI platform, the app, the cloud services, the centralized dashboard, and the ability for back-end systems integration can enable employee safety. And so I would like to just stop for a few minutes here and see if we've got some questions from our group out there. And I'm just going to take a look at the question box and see. Oh, we have quite a few. So let me take these one at a time. First question comes in. It says, "Are you constantly monitoring our techs?" I think the intent of this question is, is this kind of a big brother thing? And the answer is absolutely not. What NRBI is doing is not tracking employee movements or looking over their shoulder in any way, shape, or form. All NRBI is doing is leveraging the phone OS to monitor these circular regions, these geofenced areas, and what's happening inside that geofenced area. So if a worker moves inside of a geofenced area, NRBI is looking at the behavior of that smart pin, the information that needs to be shared there, reporting that back to a central console. So it's not tracking people, not an intrusion on anybody's privacy. I got another question here. How customizable are smart pins? Can techs simply write whatever they want in? Smart pins are extremely customizable. They can be created for virtually any kind of situation. They're created through this centralized dashboard that's under the control of management. So these smart pins are what we call company sanctioned. Not anybody can create a smart pin. They're designed for a specific use case. And so the control point that the company has, the organization has, is what does the smart pin represent? What kind of information should be shared and collected? Is there anything we want to make mandatory in terms of collection? But outside of those rules, then NRBI is meant to be a collaboration environment where workers can put in whatever they want. Make it easy for them to text, to share messages, to speak to an audio track, to share a photo or a video, or to access some kind of centralized information. Looking down to the next question here. How big are geofences? Can they be different sizes? Yes, they can. The minimum size for a geofence is 150 meters. And then they can be whatever size you think is right. So this is something where we would work with the customer and either make some recommendations based on what we've seen from other customer experiences or follow something that they think is important to size. What does that geofence represent in terms of its geographic coverage? Because remember, the geofence is a virtual boundary that defines an alert point that when someone crosses the geofence, they are now involved in what's been reported in that area by a smart pin or more than one smart pin and all the information associated with it. So the size of that geofenced area is completely configurable. Is there training involved? How has the experience been with other companies who are using it? I almost want to say there's no training involved because it's designed to be literally install the app, log into it, and it's so intuitive you can simply tap and attach or access information and read it on your phone. So from a user perspective, if they can use an app like Waze when they're navigating in traffic, they can use an app like NRBI when they're navigating in the field and doing their jobs. On the organizational side, what NRBI does is work with the organization to help them set up these smart pins, help them with any form of back-end integration with APIs they might need, and give them all sorts of help getting started with the dashboard and the most effective way to use it. I have different levels of users. Can we segment the app so certain users see certain smart pins? Yes, we can. Each user signs in to an app and has their role defined as a result of their login. So each role can be assigned to a unique set of smart pins, and roles can be defined to users. So certain users will see certain smart pins depending on their role in the organization. Let's see, I think we have one more question here. How do smart pins get removed? Do we have to manually do that? Well, smart pins can be removed manually from the phone. As you saw from my time sequence where we were integrated with the trouble ticketing system for the field service operation, the smart pin will be removed as a result of an interaction with that back-end system that the event has been resolved in some fashion. Or there is a time to live timer that you can put on a smart pin that will make it go away. So good questions, very good questions. Shows folks are thinking. And if you have more, you can get a hold of us at any time. So I want to close by saying, if you want to know more about NRBI, obviously come visit us on our website. It's nrbi.com, nrby.com. You can follow us on Twitter. We'll give updates on all the things we're doing there. And we're at NRBI Now, NRBY Now. But most of all, I want to encourage you, if you have an interest in seeing a NRBI demonstration, just go to our website. You'll see in the upper right-hand corner of the homepage a big orange button that says Request a Demo. So come visit us, read a few things, and then hit that big orange button, and we will get a hold of you and take you through a live demo of NRBI, talk about your situation and your application requirements. If it's field safety and employee safety, that's great. We'll cover that in detail. If it's another application, another use case associated with mobile collaboration, we'd be glad to take that up with you as well. So with that, I'm going to close for today. I want to thank everybody for attending and spending some time with us, and invite you back to visit our next webinar, which will be sometime next month, and we will be covering field service operations. So look for that announcement of the exact date and time on our website, and it'll be easy for you to register for it there. Again, I'm Dave Zwicker with NRBI. Thanks again for coming, and we hope to see you on the next webinar. Take care.